Welcome back to Noobs Noobs. It has been like 3 weeks since we've recorded an episode. We've been really lazy, so we're going to get back into the swing of things here. Obviously, the account has suffered because we haven't been actively managing it. So you're down about $6,500 right now. We're down even more than that. This Oracle position has really clobbered you. I did put a trade on there in Oracle for you a couple of days back. I bought some calls over the weekend, and you ended up making back about half of your losses in there. So you were down a lot more, but you made just over in one trade. You made like $2,500 in Oracle, so that helped with your PNL because you were even lower. I had to close out your Russell position because the Russell was just you had too much capital allocated. So now you have some freed up capital. Um, Opened up a couple more small positions, very small positions, but really haven't done much else than that. Still, your longest large or your biggest large long position is in Oracle. That's where you've been taking the most amount of heat. Angel Studios, still a big position, and it has not worked. So, but that's a long-term type thing. It really hasn't worked. It's done nothing but go down ever since the IPO, which is not good. But I figure we'll stick with it, give it time. What do you want to do today? There's not a ton of stuff that really I think needs adjusted. Could probably go over some of these new positions.
Mhm.
So why don't we just go down through each of the positions that we have, starting from the very top, and then you describe what the position is and kind of where your risk is.
Mm,
What do the shares do?
what do the shares do?
Yeah. What does being short that call mean? So if I sell that call, what does that mean that I am guaranteeing that I'm going to do?
Buy it back. Or sell. You're guaranteeing that you'll buy it back at that price? No.
A call gives somebody the right to buy shares at a certain price at a certain point in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm selling it to them, I'm guaranteeing their right to buy the shares, which
Okay.
means that in order for me to guarantee that right, I would have to do what? I would have to buy the shares from them or sell the shares to them. Which one?
You're guaranteeing you're going to sell those shares to them.
Yeah. So and the only way that I can guarantee someone the ability to buy shares from me is I either have to go out to the open market and buy them and then provide them to them, or I have to already own them and then I can provide them to them.
Okay. So the 200
So
shares is the guarantee.
yes. So if it gets to the point where this is trading above $9, those shares will have gone in value from $6.79 to $9. So they will increase in value, and then I will be able to provide them at that $9. So they're acting as the opposite of the call. They're going to increase as the call works against me.
Okay.
It's called a covered call. So I'm covered in this position because I own the shares, and I can turn around and just hand the shares over to them without having to go out and buy them at a higher price in the market and then turn around and sell them immediately for less. So it's covered.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, next.
Angel Studios. We have 1,000 shares of Angel Studios.
Yeah. It seems like a lot, but it's only a $3 stock.
Oh.
So it's only $3,000 worth.
We have a call
Then
20th of February.
get used to saying it like this, because if you say we have a call, that implies that you own the call.
Selling a call.
So we're short a call. That means that we sold it. If you
Okay.
were long a call, you
Bought
would
it.
have the call. Yeah.
Okay, we're short a call for 17th of April. And then we're short 5 puts for the 17th of April. And then we're short 3 calls for the 17th of April.
Yeah. So in April, we've got a 5 call that is short, and then we're short 3 7.5 calls, and we're short 5. What is that? 5 puts. So effectively, we've got 4 short calls in April, and we've got 5 short puts. So it's almost like straddles and strangles in here. So like if you would now take that one short 5 call
Mm-hmm.
and see how there's 5 short puts, one of those pairs up with that one short 5 call to create what type of strategy? So if you imagine that we got rid of the other 4 and you just had one short 5 put and one short 5 call, that has a strategy name. like a strangle, but because they share the same strike. So a strangle is
What's a vertical
up.
strangle? I know we talked about that.
That's not a thing. There's a vertical and there's a strangle, but there's not a vertical strangle. So like we share the same 5 strike. So imagine this is the 5 strike right here where my fingers are. This is the 7.5 strike. This is the 2.5 strike. So if we were at the 2.5 and the 7.5, that would be a strangle. If we were at the 7.5 and the 5 strike with our calls and puts, that would be a strangle. But because they're sharing the same strike, we're straddling the price, right? It's a straddle. We're literally sitting at the same strike. So think about like straddling a horse. You're sitting in one position. You're not in 2 different strikes. You're in one position. So if you share the same strike, it's a straddle. So think of it, you're on top of the horse. So that's the difference between a straddle and a strangle. So when you're strangling something, your hands are coming in from the outside and they're coming in from the outside. But when you're straddling something, you're directly on top of it. So out of the money contracts on either side of the stock price would be a strangle. So we also have strangles. What are the 3 strangles that we have? Based off of the information that I just gave you and the contracts that you see there.
Would it be the 3 different combinations with the put and the calls?
No, we have
just the 17th of April short and the
17th of April short what?
Short 3 calls.
The short 3 calls, and they would be a strangle if you combine them with what other 3 contracts that we have in here?
Well, we have 5 put.
We already peeled one of those 5 off and paired it with the 5 call to make a straddle.
Okay.
So if we peel off another 3 and pair it with the short 7.5 call, that would give us 3 whats?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Imagine that we paired 3 of these 4 remaining 5, like mentally. We're doing this mentally, obviously. We're not actually doing it. But imagine mentally that we already peeled one off and put it with the short 5 call, right? That leaves us 4 short puts. Now we're going to peel 3 of those off and pair them with the 7.5 short call. So we have 3 short 7.5 calls and 3 short 5 puts. That would create what type of strategy? So we got the put lower than, we got the put is lower than the call price, right? And the call is higher than the put price. And they're both short. That creates what type of strategy? They're not sharing. If they're sharing, it's a straddle. If they're coming around a price, it's
strangle.
Yes, a strangle, because the call is higher than the put, and they're, at the time we put this on, they were probably both pretty close to out of the money, but now they're not. They're both, now your strangle is basically just purely long delta, but it's still a strangle. Okay, so it would be fair to describe all of these contracts. Wait, well, some brokerage firms will actually break out the strategies for you and label them right in the platform. But go back to, because this doesn't give us the numbers. Go back to here. So of not accounting this February contract. So of all of these contracts, there's a total of 9 contracts here. It's fair to say that we're short a 5 straddle in April, right? We're short a 5 straddle. We're short 3 5 put 7.5 call strangles. And that leaves us short 1 naked 5 put. So we're short 3 strangles, 1 straddle, and then the leftover put is just a short put. So that's how the relationships of those work. Short 3 straddles, 1 strangle, and a short put.
Okay.
And there are other ways that you can look at it, but that's how I choose to look at a position like that, where it's gotten to the point where you don't have an even number. But to mentally put it into categories, that's how I go about doing it.
Okay.
All right, so bull, or this one, this was just what are those?
Long 2 calls.
Yep.
February.
Yep. That's not working, by the way. It was a tiny little trade, Josh. Josh called it out one day, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll follow you into it.
Wow, a lot.
So in here, what do we got going on?
Short a call, long 6 calls, long 2 more calls, short a call, short another call.
All right, so deal with the February expiration first.
February
So
we're short a call, long 6
we're short a call against what?
against what?
We have shares or not?
Or 300 shares.
Right. So one call against those 300 shares. So 100 of those shares is accounted for with that short call.
Okay.
Right. So now if we have other naked short calls down the line, we'll be able to figure out if they're covered or not. Right.
Mhm.
So that call is basically worthless. And those contracts in February are also worthless. They expire in a few days and they're worth nothing, and they will be worth nothing. So basically, we're just going to let them expire worthless.
Both the February calls? These two?
Yeah, the long and the short. Yep. Okay. And do that when you talk about this stuff. Click on it like you just did, so people know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Moving forward. Okay. So in March, what do we got?
We have long 2 calls, short 1, and then short 2 more.
Okay. So logically, we've got 2, 1, 2, 1. So logically, when we put things on, we usually put them on equally. So if we were to pair the 2 with 2 and the 1 and the 2 with 1, do it like that. And then so pair the okay. Yep. So what is that strategy? They calls and puts, or are they calls and puts, or are they both calls, or are they both puts?
They're both calls. But
They're both calls.
1 call and short 2 calls.
We're long
2 calls and short 2 calls.
Yeah, so we're long a 7 and we're short a 12.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both on the same side. So this is a vertical. This means that we bought the 7.5 and then we sold against it to reduce our risk and give us a range of profitability. What's the range? $5 wide, right? So the most you can make in here is, or the most it can be worth is $5, right? Mm-hmm. And then the most you can lose in this trade is whatever we put it on for. And it's pretty much at max loss as well, because this thing has done nothing but gone down too. So basically, almost $500 minus the 160. So it's about a $350 loser so far. And it's going to be a loser because I don't see this thing. You never know. I think there is earnings coming up in here. So we'll leave that on because we basically lost everything that we can. So all of these contracts are pretty much freaking worthless at this point. So we've got, hang on, we still had 2 more. The 1 and the 1. So remember, we had 100 of those shares accounted for.
So we have 200
right?
shares left.
And what are these?
They're both 100.
Are they calls or puts?
Calls.
What's the difference? They're both the 10 strike. What's the difference between them? Why are they worth different amounts?
The expiration date.
Yeah, one has more time than the other. So that's why there's more value in it. Not much, but that's so. What are the 3 covered call positions that we have in this trade? Those 3, yes. Those are the 3 covered calls. And so there's the February 10 covered call, you've got the March 10 covered call, and you've got a May 10 covered call. Mm-hmm. All right. And so far, year to date, you're down like what? $800 in there? Is that what that says?
So this is a covered call.
Yes. Now you're getting it. Now you're being able to look at things and be like, oh, I understand what this is. What kind of risk profile? No, you can make a covered put. You can do covered puts. That's less common. Short? You'd have to have short shares if you were going to have a covered put.
Shares, that's when
if you sold shares short and you sold a put against it, that would be a covered put.
Okay. We haven't done that.
Yeah. We haven't done that. So this one actually you're up in because I bought these shares when right before Coin had earnings. They didn't have great earnings, but they rallied on earnings, and you're up like $300 in here. So the question in here would be, how much could you potentially make left in this position? What's your strike? What do you have to sell the shares at?
1066.
What's your strike?
The strike is 1765 or 60.
No, that's what the value of the contract is. What strike do you have? The 160. So you have to sell these shares at 160. What'd you pay for them?
166 right now. We bought them at 156.
So if you bought them at 156,
I'm trading at 160. $1.66. It's like $9.
But how much is left in the value of that contract? Trading at 17. The value of the contract is 1760.
Mhm.
Currently, the stock price is
160.
$6.50 above your strike.
Okay.
So if it's $6.50 above your strike, subtract that from your strike value, your contract value.
So 650 minus 1770 should be like 1220.
1220? Is that right?
Is that what you're
No.
doing?
No. 650 minus 1770. Not 12.
1120.
1120, right? So that's how much, if this stock is above 160 at expiration, you stand to make another $1,120 more than you already have made in this particular position. And that's kind of how you figure out whether or not it's worth taking this off or leaving it on is, well, you know, there's $15,000 in risk in here. If I only can make, another $100 out of it, I'm not going to leave it on. I'm just going to close it and move on to something that's better opportunity. But if you still stand to make $1,100, now go scroll to your right.
How far?
Is there an extrinsic value in here? Where?
The 10.85.
Where do you see that? 10 extrinsic. That's another easy way to look at this and see how much you stand left to make in it is the extrinsic value that's left in that contract. You see how it's right there at what you calculated? 11 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's because that's how much extrinsic value is left. That's what we calculated was the extrinsic value.
So if it's at like 1, there's not really any.
I mean, it really depends on where the stock price is. It really depends on what your profit target going into the trade was. But for me, being that you're in the money and you still have, what is it, maybe 30 days left in this contract or so, a little bit more than 30 days, and you still have another $1,000 to make, I would still keep this on.
Okay, I understand how we got the 11. It's selling at 160. It's trading at $7 above. You take that from the mark price of your call, but I don't understand what the 11 means. Like I don't understand how
The 11 means, so extrinsic value is time value and volatility value and potential movement in the market. So this thing, go into your option chain, go to that particular contract, and then look over here look up at the very, very top, not on the strikes, but on where it says your expiration, then go to the right of that. No, don't scroll to the right. Look to the right. You see where it says 76.85%?
Yeah, 30.
So that's your implied volatility for this particular expiration date. And that 30 is the implied move that volatility implies. Basically, the market maker's expected move up or down in the next, 31 days. It's saying that this stock is likely to move $30 in the next 31 days. So that's why, because it's such a large expected move in relation to the price of the stock. So in relation to the price of the stock, that's like a 20% move. That's a big move in 30 days. So the stock is expected to move up or down $30. That's why you have so much value left in that contract, even though it's in the money, because $30 to the downside is going to put you at 136. $30 to the upside is going to put you almost at 200. So a contract with 31 days where you could end up anywhere from 200 to 130 is going to have value.
Okay.
That's why extrinsic value is important. You already know how to calculate it, but that's why we still have potential to make another $1,100 in this contract, because the extrinsic value is so high, and the extrinsic value is so high because of the implied volatility.
We could make. The 11 is the amount we could make.
Yes, if it's above 160 at expiration, is the most amount that you can make. You could still make money, but less than that. If it's below. Okay.
What were we on? Coin? Yeah. Hymns.
Yeah, hymns is rough. This is you probably won't be able to guess what the name of this strategy is, but just take a look at it. They're on top of it. They're sitting on top of the same strike, straddling. Right. So these do not share the same strike. So they're considered what?
Strangle.
It's a strangle, but it's a particular type of strangle. And it's a particular type of strangle because I'm agreeing to buy shares at 26 with this put. So click on the put. No, click on just highlight it so people know what I'm talking about. Nope. There. Yeah. So that says that I'm willing to buy this stock at $26, right? The stock's currently trading at 16. It's not a good idea to pay $26 for something that's worth 16. That's usually a bad way to make money, right? Right. So that means at the time that I put this on, the stock would have been much higher. And what's happened? It's gone down, 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 down. So usually your call, if I'm willing to buy, if I'm going to put on a strangle and I say, all right, I'm willing to buy this stock at 26, I'm willing to sell it at 40. That would have been your initial entry into this particular position. But what has happened is the stock has gone down so much that now my put is actually a higher price than my call, right? So I'm saying I'll sell it at 20, but I'll buy it at 26. That's not good. I'm in a position where I'm inverted by $6, right? So this is an inverted strangle. It means you've rolled the call down so much. You went from the 40 to the 35 to the 30 down to the 26 into like an actual straddle position. But then even the straddle continued to get tested and sell off lower and lower. So then you rolled your call down even below your put price where you were willing to enter. So you're inverted. So the way that you would calculate an inversion, because I have to sell it at 20 and I'm saying I'll buy it at 26. So right off the bat, that's a $6 spread that is, this will be worth basically negative $600. So if I haven't collected $6 in credit overall in this position, that means I'm basically at a loss in here and I just want to bounce to make back some of that money. Okay. If I've collected over $6 in credit, I can actually make a profit if this thing lands close. We don't want an inverted. Yeah, you don't want an inverted, but in order to figure out if you're actually in a terrible position or if you're in a potentially profitable position, you have to know the total credit that you received. And in order to do that, you'd go to orders, then you'd go to all, then you'd go to filter, then go to a custom date range, first hit last 30 days, then go to custom. So today's January, go to January 1st. Since the beginning of the year, then wait, yeah, type in HIMS. Okay, click HIMS. Now let's see what our overall credit that we've collected in here over the last since the beginning of the year. All right, so not counting those shares that I shorted initially, it looks like we're initially getting a roll. Hang on a second. That initial one is a roll, which means we need to adjust our date. Go back to your date, go back to filter. Start it back a few months before that. Yes, you got to change it to 2025 first. There you go. Now hit apply, because there's got to be a point. I think the first initial one that I sold was the 29. Yeah. So initially I sold this 29 put for $1.30. So let me get my calculator out here. It's not good either way, but it's close to being a scratch if we get a bounce back above 20. Let's see. Was it 130, 1.3 plus 0.67 plus 5.6 plus 1 plus 1.05. 428. So right now, if this ends at the end, go back to your actual position so we can see what we have on here. This is March. So in 31 days, if this stock price is anywhere between 20 and 26, you would have collected $425, which means you would be looking at a $175 loss. If it's below this $20 strike price, you would add $100 on for every dollar that it's below. So when we get closer to the expiration date, we'll have a choice to make. We can close it out, take an L, or we can potentially roll it out to April and collect more credit. Ideally, if we can get close to that $6 credit that we are inverted, or we can buy back and widen out the spread some to narrow that $6 spread to maybe like a $3 spread, we'll look at doing that around that time frame. But just to give you an idea of how you would calculate, like what are actual potential profitability or loss in there, that's how you figure that out. Okay, so IBIT, this is another one that's gotten shellacked. All right, so IBIT, we've got what?
Short 3 calls and long 3 calls.
All right, so 2 of them are in June of 2028. The long calls, 2 of them are in June of 2028. So really, really, really a lot of time left, like 500 some days left on those. And then the other one's in October of this year. So that one has a lot less time on it. And then the 3 calls that we have sold are sold against our longs, but they're all different expirations, you notice. So our shorts are not the same expiration as our longs. So that makes this a diagonal spread. So you've got 2 different types of calendar or calendarized spreads. If they share the same strike, kind of like a straddle, then you would call it a calendar spread. If they don't share the same strike, which these don't, I guess some of them actually do. No, they don't. If they don't share the same strike, then you're going across calendared expirations. So you're going out in time and you're going up and down. So you're going in a diagonal direction, right? That's why it's called a diagonal, because think of it as I'm short this expiration and long this expiration, but it's diagonal because my call is down here and my put is up here, or vice versa. So it's, if you draw a line across expiration and strike, it's going to be a diagonal line. And if it's a calendar, it's a straight line. Time. So that's what the name of that strategy is. So let me go back into here so I can see your screen. So all of those are calendars. They're also another way that you can refer to a strategy like this as a poor man's covered call, because you see those long contracts, you can basically look at those as shares of stock or some type of similar relationship as shares of stock would have to your short calls. So we're going out and we're renting the right to buy these shares at $30 for the next 500 days instead of buying 100 shares, because it's cheaper to rent them than it is to buy them. And that's why they call it a poor man's covered call, because you get pretty much the same type of exposure, but for less capital. Probably. Yeah, we're in a, well, let me check and see when earnings in MP are before we do that, because MP likes to move on earnings. Let me just see what the earnings date is. MP earnings date. MP earnings is, oh, it's coming up on the 26th. So we got what, 9 more days. So we're going to have earnings in MP in 9 days. I say we leave this on until after earnings. And then if it doesn't get a bump into earnings, we'll take it and we'll move it down and invert it. And remember inversion. So we would take like the 70 call down to the 65 call, take in a more credit, but then we would then have the obligation to buy the shares at 70 and sell them at 65. So again, we would be in a less than desirable position by doing that. And just because you're inverted doesn't mean it's a terrible trade. Look, we're up overall in this particular position over the year. So, I mean, it's worked just because the sheer amount of premium that was in there. But ideally, we would want to close this out if we get a bump closer to that $70 price mark, or even, a $10 up move in here would be great for us. MU. So we have shares in here, and we have what?
What do you call it?
Same expiration.
Yep.
Shorter call, shorter put. Not on the same strike. Your put's lower than your call. Our go-to strategy.
Is it the same as the other one? The one that was up here?
Yeah. Well, no, because those are the same strike. MP is the same strike. These ones don't share the same strike. If you share the same strike, you're sitting on the price, right? Remember, sitting on the price. Yeah. If it doesn't share the same strike, you're doing what to the strike?
Is it a strangle?
Yes. So that's a strangle. But then we also have these 20 random shares. Now, it's not a covered call because we know that a contract, that call controls how many shares?
The call controls 100 shares.
Right. And we don't have 100 shares.
We have 20.
We have 20. So that means that, what is it, the 870 call?
Yeah.
Is not covered. However, if we get a move, say up to 700 over the course of the next year, that call will still be out of the money, and these 20 shares will continue to appreciate in value by 300 times 20. So it's uncovered. It's kind of like a ratio spread almost. So it's kind of like a ratio. It's 1/5. 1/5 of the position is covered, and we can add. We've done this before in other positions. We can add more shares if we get a down move, and just kind of slowly build into what would be a covered call position, and then we would just have that short put. So right now we're in a strangle with a few long delta is how you would describe this position. So we have a few static long delta and a strangle.
Okay.
Or sorry, strangle. All right, NEM. This one's working. I put this one on the other day just to get some exposure in the metals volatility. What is that?
No strangle.
Yes, strangle. Okay, Netflix.
Another strangle.
87 put, 90 call. Yep, another strangle. This one is it short or long?
Short.
The delta.
Or the delta.
Yeah, we short or long delta in here.
Where's the delta? Long. 75.
Right, but you should be able to just look at the stock price and look at your strikes and tell whether you're short or long.
Really?
If your put is worth $11 and your call is only worth 41 cents, that means you're leaning very, very long. That means at the time that you put this on, this stock price would have been above 87, right? Now it's down to 76. So that means it's moved well through. So, I mean, ideally you could move this into a straddle and take this 90 down to the 87. You should probably do that, honestly. Take it right to a straddle, collect a few more pennies in there. Maybe even down to like the 85. 80. I'd say, yeah, take it down to 85. Go inverted. That's going to put you $2 inverted, but really you're collecting 55 cents. So, and you've collected a decent amount of credit in here, I believe. All right, so that one's adjusted. Okay. Oracle, this is your pain and suffering here. What do you got going on here? You're short the 180, so almost $30 in the money times 2, and the 190, so basically 4. So you're short 3 contracts, or basically long almost 300 shares, and then you're short the 200 call in March, the 210 call in March. So these are what? How would you pair those up and describe your position in there?
The
All the same expiration, right?
yeah. So the 190 and the 210.
Sure, you can pair them however you want. It doesn't matter. It's all hypothetical. But what would that be? The 190 and the 210?
Strangle.
A strangle. One short strangle, and then what else is in there?
The 180. You could take one of the 180s and put it at 200.
Would be what?
Another strangle.
Another strangle. Yeah. So you got 2 short strangles, and then you just short a put. So you could sell another call in here for no additional capital, but I like the idea of leaning long at these price levels in Oracle, so I wouldn't probably do anything here.
Tesla.
And we're definitely leaning long. Tesla, this is, what is that?
2028. Is that a straddle?
Look at are they calls and puts, or puts and calls, or calls and calls, and puts and puts?
Calls and a call. A long call and a short call.
Yep, we saw this somewhere else. What was it when we saw it somewhere else? Where do we see this? We saw this same position in Webull. Remember the 7.5 and the 12.5?
What'd you call it though? I don't remember.
A vertical spread. So it's a long vertical spread, and it's long because the long option has more value than the short option.
Okay, I get it. Guys, 42 to 36.
All right, so then in Unity, last one,
Selling a put.
you just short a put.
Alright.
That's it. Do you have any questions?
No, I mean I feel like we went over more today than we did for most of the other timing. Like of like the
Well, yeah,
actual
because
names
because
and the understanding.
I've been dropping these things and using this terminology, and you've been learning the terminology without even understanding that you're learning the terminology just from exposure. Yeah, that was the whole point, was to give you constant exposure, talk to you like I would anybody else that knew what was going on, and then after a long time of exposure to try and make the ideas make sense in your mind. And you still don't know all the terminology, which you could actually improve if you just like go to ChatGPT and say, hey, give me a list of every type of strategy, and
Just definitions for like all the.
that's what I mean, and put it like, have it printed out and like tape it to the side of your monitor so you can know what is what. and have a short explanation after each one. And then also you probably need to understand the concept of a put and a call better, and to understand, like, really memorize a put and a call, what it does. Like a put does this. It gives somebody the right to sell a stock at a particular date in time at a particular price in the future. And that's for the buyer. They get the option to do that. So buyers in both cases get the option to buy or sell at a particular price at a particular date. The seller guarantees that option. And in order to guarantee that option, the seller has to either sell or buy the stock from them or to them at a particular time and date. You should have those definitions like taped onto the side of your monitor so you can read them once a day. And that'll make everything more comfortable with understanding for you. All right. Well, we went really long today, but hopefully that was helpful to everybody watching. Thanks for tuning in. We're trying some new things with the video editing here. We're going to continue to try and improve the quality as we move forward. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come hang out with us in the Discord. The Discord has really been growing lately. And not only that, the NBT is starting to develop some really cool things when it comes to AI and automation. So there's going to be some announcements coming up. So don't miss out. Check us out in the Discord. Hang out with us. There is a free trial. You can come in and see what we do and just kind of read through everything that we've got going on. We really do have a lot of stuff going on. We've got some developers that have made some really cool things in here that track both Josh and I's trades. We've got several different AI technology bots that are going to be rolling out that are pretty unique. Not a lot like it in the space. So come hang out with us, and you can even join in on the podcast that we do and sit in on these live sessions and ask questions as well if you come into the Discord. So peace. We'll see you next time.
At the chart, a sea of red, talking puts and calls, but they just stare ahead. Strike price means nothing in the black minds, margins and leverage like mountains to climb.